Welcome back, everyone. Please sign in to your AWS console. And once you have signed in, find Bedrock. So you can type in Amazon Bedrock. Now, one thing to note, I am in the United States Oregon region. And the reason for that is because this region has the highest possible API limit for agents, okay? So usually I always recommend my students to go to the region that is closest to where they're working from, whether that's Asia, Canada, Europe, or other parts of the United States. But this time I would ask you to please go to US West too. That's the Oregon region, okay? And I'm going to show you why. If you don't need to follow this, but if you type in quotas, and now I'm going to find the appropriate quota. I'm going to look for Bedrock. And then it's loading the resources right now. Okay, now I'm going to type in Sonnet. Actually, just search like this over here. So as you can see, we're going to be using Sonnet 3.5 version 2. Okay, and if you look, on-demand invoke model requests per minute for the Anthropic Claude 3.5 Sonnet v2. As you can see, this is 50. That's the applied account level quota. Okay, now this is already increased for me from 25, but some of you, it might be even lower. Okay, and the reason for that is because, these models are in high demand, and you have to justify why you want to upgrade your plan, okay? Because right now, it's pretty self-explanatory, but with the Claude 3.5 Sonnet v2 model, we're going to be able to make 50 invocations per minute, okay? Which I know sounds a lot, but once we get into larger agentic, chatbot workflows, 50 might not be enough. Okay, and for you, you might have a different number over here. And as you can see, this radio button is turned off. So you cannot basically adjust this parameter. As you can see for this one over here, it's not adjustable. So when you see the adjustability, as you can see, it's not adjustable. That means AWS has a hard limit on this. Okay, so you can't just come over here. For example, as you can see, when you have this, when you can click this, you can essentially request an increase. Okay, but right now, what's important for us is the on-demand invoke model request per minute for the Claude 3.5 Sonnet v2, and we can't adjust it. Okay, and the highest level of API calls is the highest in the Oregon region with 50. If I were to switch to, I'm usually in the Frankfurt region because that's the closest to me. And look what happens if I type in Sonnet and let's scroll down. As you can see, we don't even have the Sonnet 3.5 version 2 model. Do you see that? The v2 model is not even accessible for the on-demand invoke model requests per minute. And the old model, the 3.5 Sonnet, has 4. That means I can make 4 requests at a minute. That is very low. If you remember from the Oregon region, this number was 50. Now, what if I go to the US East 1? That's also a pretty big data center for AWS, right? So let's see their limits. And if I type in Sonnet and scroll down, as you can see, the on-demand invoke model requests per minute for Anthropic Claude 3.5 Sonnet version 2 is 10. So as you can see, the Oregon region, it's 50 for the Oregon region, okay? For me, for my account level. So if I type in Sonnet, the on-demand is 50. Now, in the future, this is most likely going to be increased. So by the time you're watching this video, it might already have increased. But if not, one thing you can do is, I'm going to show you, we can technically use the Claude 3.5 or the 3 model, as you can see, which has a higher API rate. But the 3.5 Sonnet v2 model is the right now the best, or one of the best that we can use. So that's why I'm going to be sticking to that. But if, you don't have access to it, or this account level quota is for you, it's not 50, it's even lower, what you can do is you can go to support, and then you can literally ask them to increase it. And hopefully they will increase it for you. You can tell them that, you're working on your startup and you need it. Okay? And hopefully they'll give it to you. If not, then I'm going to show you how you can use an older model like the on-demand Claude 3 Sonnet, which, as you can see, has 100 invocations per minute, as opposed to the 50 over here. Okay? Now, this is only if you have access to the models. Now, let's go and see if you have access to the models that we're going to use. So I'm right here in Bedrock, and I'm going to scroll down and make sure you're in the Oregon region right now, okay? I'm going to scroll down to model access at the bottom. And as you can see, if you scroll, you can have access to specific models. So as you can see, I have the Claude 3.5 Sonnet v2 model. As you can see, access granted. Now, as you can see, a lot of models I don't have access to, and that's not because, they're so super models that AWS only allows a few companies to use it. It's because I never requested access for it. I can modify model access, and what I can do, for example, the Titan Text G1 Lite, I can click on this, I can then scroll down, next, and then as you can see, request access, and then I can just submit it. Okay, and as you can see, I got access to it immediately. Now, what you want to make sure is that you're in the Oregon region and you have access to either the 3.5 Sonnet v2 or the 3.5 Sonnet, and as a backup or safety, the Claude 3 Sonnet. So please just follow along what I did, modify model access. And for these Claude models, it might not be instantaneous as it was for this text model. You might have to wait a few minutes, an hour, or a day. If you don't have access to it for more than a day, then I would recommend you reach out to support, okay? Because they might be able to help. So essentially, this is the reason why we're in the Oregon region. And, I always say that the reason you want to be in the region that's closest to you is for, latency. The closer you are to the data center, the better latency. But in this case, the Oregon region has the best API limits, so that's why you want to be in the Oregon region, okay? So I will see you in the next video.